Hi and welcome back. We're still on data transformations, and in this video, we're going to be looking at some data transformation techniques. Um, we're going to be starting by looking at the group by technique. And what is the group by technique? Grouping and aggregating data is actually very important if you want to look at data at different levels. For example, you have daily data and you want to see it as monthly data. For example, if we look at our sales, we have data daily. So we have 2015, 1st of January. And if you want to see total quantity at a monthly level, grouping and aggregating data helps us see that at a rolled up level or at different levels, right? It's just similar to your group by in SQL. Now, how do we group data in Power BI? Um, we're going to be using the cycle sales data set. And say I had a question and I wanted to see how much I have sold, the quantity sold per product. I want to see the quantity sold per product. How we do that here is I click on product key, which is what I want to group by, right? I want to group by product key. And then under the transform option, we have group by there. If I click on group by, here I'm already grouping by product key. And the new column name, I want the new column to be total quantity per product. Total quantity per product. And the operation I want to perform is to sum for each, what I want to do is for each product, I want to sum up all the total quantity. That's how I'll find the total quantity per product. So I go here and I do sum. And what do I want to sum? I want to sum the quantity sold column. And then I click on OK. And it makes that computation, and you would see now that we have a resultant table that has the product key and the total quantity per product. Note that any field that is not specified in your group by settings will be automatically lost. You would not have them in the result, right? So, but this is very important when you want to see data at a rolled up level or at different levels. So now I have a product key 271. I know I sold 1,100. For 273, I sold 1985 products. So that's the group by function. But I do not want to leave my data like this. So I'm going to just undo it by clicking on the X button and take my data back to its original state. So yeah. Um the next function I would like us to talk about would be pivoting and unpivoting in Power Query editor. Pivoting and unpivoting. And why is that so important? Now, when working with data sets, I would like us to look at our pivot demo data set. When working with data sets, especially those structured in what we call a wide format, like this one on my screen. Of course, before we start talking about pivoting or pivoting, this data is not clean. We can see some issues with the column names. So let's adjust that. You already know what to do. We promote use first row as headers. You can find that in the transform tab as well. Use first row as headers, and I can see that my first column doesn't have a header. I'm just going to call it metric, just because I think the product sold and profit are both metrics. So I'm just going to name it metric. So yeah, we're fine now. So now, I was saying, when we work with data sets, especially those that are structured in a wide format, like this one, you would see, for example, each year has its own column, right? Doesn't look like a problem at first glance. It looks fine, but when it comes to data analysis and visualization, having data spread across columns can create challenges, and it becomes harder to aggregate and compare across different years, or even to add new years to the data. So, for instance, if you need to calculate the total product sold or the trend of profits over time, This current format would require manually having to reference each column, which is very inefficient, and especially as the number of years grew, that means the number of columns grew. So imagine we had data from 1901 to 2024. You can imagine how many columns that would be, and you would have to manually reference if you want to, you know, catch a trend there. So this is where on pivot transformation comes in, right? By pivoting this column, we are restructuring the data sets from this wide format into a long format. So basically, we are just flipping a table, similar to a transpose, right? So now in each row will now represent a single observation, including metric and year. So each row would show the metric for that and then the value for the year. So for example, the first row will show product sold 2015, product sold in 2016, right? And this means we're taking the year-based columns and stacking them vertically into a single year column. So we have one column for the year while keeping all the other values like product sold and profit. So this is essential. Why? One, it makes us, we can filter by year or metric. We can apply calculations across all the years without manually selecting many columns, right? So on pivoting just helps us, prepare our data to be more dynamic for analysis, and it gives us flexibility. So how do we unpivot these columns, right? So we have this column, and what I want to do is I want to see for each metric, I want to see the value for the years. So for product sold, I want to see the value for 2015, 2016, 2017 in one column. So I'm going to select all the others except metric. I'm going to select all this. You can select at once by holding the first, selecting the first, holding shift, and selecting the last. And then I would go to on pivot columns in my transform tab, and I'm going to click on pivot column. We're going to unpivot only the selected column. So let's just click on unpivot only selected column. And you'll notice something has happened. It has taken all that data that we had in our columns and it has put them in one row and has given us the value. So basically what we are seeing here is for products sold in 2015, we can see the value. For products sold in 2016, we can see the values. And what the benefit I have is I can filter for different years and I will have different. So for example, if I want to just see only 2015 data in my data set, I can just filter and I have 2015. We couldn't do this before when we had that wide structure. And this is one of what on pivoting columns does for us, right? We can do analysis over a wide range of measure. So now let's talk about merging queries. Now, merging queries allows you join tables based on a common column, right? So, say we have it's just similar to your joins, right? In SQL. So you have two tables and they have a common column. You can merge those queries to form a larger table based on a common field or a common column, right? In this case, let's merge the cycles sales table with the cycles product table. So we have cycle prod. Now you will notice on the cycle sales table, we have product key here. We have a field called product key. And in the cycles product table, so we have a field called product key. So they are common columns. Those are the two common field in both tables that allows link both tables together. So how do we merge? How do we merge? All we have to do is to go to transform and we would find merge queries. I should have been home. Okay, so it's in home rather not transform. So we'll go to our home and then we'll find merge queries. And when we click on that drop down, there are two options. There's merge queries and there's merge queries as new. Merge queries would, if you select just merge queries, it takes your currently selected table and then it merges it with another table and then it updates your currently selected table. So basically you are changing your currently selected table. But if you do merge queries as new, it creates a new query that is the combination of the two queries you've merged. So it doesn't update any of your two individual queries, but creates a new query that is the combination of both A and B. It doesn't update A, doesn't update B. It creates a C query that's a combination of A and B. So for this, I want to do merge queries as new. And it's going to open an option for me. So now it's asking me what query, what's my first one. I want cycle sales to be first, and I want the cycle product to be the second. Now I've selected my two queries. I wanna select. The next thing is to select your um your common column. So my common column is product key. Product key on this table is equal to product key on this table. So you say select column of the same. Oh, so you see, we have an issue right away. The data types are different on both tables. They are the same thing, but the data types are different. So you say select columns with the same data type. So let's go and fix that. I can see product key on the cycles prod table is numerical because it's flipped to the right. Numerical values are usually flipped to the right. You can see unit cost flipped to the right, or tilted to the right, unit price to the right, while text are always towards the left. You can see product name to the left, price range to the left. And you can see product key here is also to the left, meaning it's recognizing it as a text, not numbers. So let's go back to cycle sales and fix that. Cancel. Let's go back to cycle sales and let's find product key. So you can see it's showing ABC and it should be a number. So let's fix that. Let's click on that ABC and let's change it to whole number. And you can see we fixed that it's whole number. Let's do the same thing for quantity sold as well, because if we leave quantity sold like this, by the time you want to aggregate it later, it's going to just throw an error. So it should be a whole number. Region key, I mean, I really don't mind. We could since this is a key, actually we could actually leave it as text, so it's fine, and we can let's leave it as numbers as well. We would not need to aggregate this, so we could leave it as text and convert cyclone to text as well because it's a key. We wouldn't need to do any aggregations on them. I think let's leave it as text. I'm more comfortable with text. Product key. Let's add a new step, or let's replace current step. So leave it as text. Let's go to cycles product and also change this to text as well. All right, great. So let's now go back to, I'm going to go to cycle sales. I'm going to go to merge queries. So merge queries. And oh, sorry, it should be merge queries as new. My bad. Merge queries as new. And yeah, so the first is cycle sales, the next is cycle prod, and we want product key and product key. So now everything is fine. You can see that green tick here, and I think we're good. So all we have to do now, we have to specify the join type, just like SQL, we have join type. So we either left outer join. You're familiar with join, so this shouldn't be an issue. Left outer join, meaning it takes everything from the left table, that's the first table, and all matching from the second. I'm comfortable with the left outer join. So left outer join, and then I don't think I need this. I'm waiting for that green tick. Yes, we have it. So I'm going to click on OK. And now you see we have a new query here that's called merge one. We can rename it. We can rename it by right clicking and calling it sales products, just to show that it's a combination between sales and products. And you can see all the columns I have on my sales table: transaction date, stock, blah 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 blah, products key, unit sold, are all here. But then on the last table we have psych prod, meaning, and that's the table, but we have to expand it. So there's a button here that allows you to expand it and allows you to select the fields you want from the second table. I'm going to remove product key because we already have product key in the products table, in the sales table. I do not want to see it in the expansion. That would be just two same fields, and we just click on OK. It's asking me if I want to use the original column name as prefix. That way, each field will be psychprod dot products new, psychprod dot unit cost, psychprod dot. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to do that just so I can identify which fields is coming from the psychprod table. So I'll click on OK. And here we have it. So before we just had in our sales table, we just had product keys. We really don't know what product it is because we've not joined. But if we go here now, we know that product 271 is W yellow 38 strike 550. That's the product name. So we have that detail here. We can see the names: site product, product name, site product unit cost, site product unit price. We can always change this, but this is how to merge queries, right? You're merging two queries to form a longer query or a wider query rather, right? Based on um, a common field on both queries or on both tables. And finally, we're going to talk about appending. So there's merging queries, right? Based on a common column, left and right, and you form a new wider query like sales and product, and we form this sales product table that has all the columns from sales and all the columns from product in a new query. Appending does something similar, but basically it allows you to stack tables on each other. So you are stacking tables that have exactly the same structure, meaning they have the same column arranged the same way, right? So an example is these two tables that I have here: cycle sales 2019, cycle sales 2020. If you look at cycle sales 2019, it has transaction date, stock date, invoice ID, age group, and so on and so forth. If you go to 2020, same structure: transaction date, stock date, invoice ID, age group, etc., and so on and so forth. So basically, what appending queries does, it allows you stack this 2019 on 2020. So you have 2019 and 2020 in a new, longer query, right? So how do we do that? We can just go to append queries, same method, but here we're going to do append queries as new, so we do not tamper with either 2019 or 2020. Append queries as new, and it was just two tables, right? So there's option for two tables or three or more tables. It's just two tables. So the first table, let's do 2019, second table 2020, and we'll just do OK. And it's created a new query called append one, and let's call it cycle sales. Let's call it cycles sale 2019 to 2020. And here, just to confirm, we can, if we go to cycle sales 2019 and we do the column, let's see how many rows are there. Let's do column distribution, the column profile rather. That will give us more details about how many rows are here. So in 2019 we have showing first top 1000. Let's do entire data set. So in 2019 we have 24,000, approximately 24,000 rows, and then 2020 we have so there's the not top 1000 entire data set. In 2020 we have taking a bit. We have 29,000, approximately 24,000, 29,000. So I expect that we have about 53,000 in the resultant table. So let's check. So let's do entire data set. Let's give it a bit. So just like I said, about 53,000. That's a combination of what we have in 2019 and in 2020. So that is appending queries. So in this video, we've talked about how to modify some of our queries. We've talked about to append, how to merge, how to pivot and unpivot, how to group data, and see them at different road up levels. In the next video, we're going to be talking about how to modify our queries, how to do some modification to our queries. We're going to be introducing ourselves to M code, which is also called data mashup, and it's a language that drives Power Query. So we're going to be introducing ourselves to that in the next coming video. So stay tuned and keep practicing.